Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast number. What number is this? 7?
7, I think. Yeah.
7. Welcome to podcast number 7. Our topic today is really exciting. It's kind of a high overview topic and super fun because today you're going to learn how it's not about the waterfall. Get excited to learn what that means.
Have you ever struggled with finding meaning and purpose in everyday life?
My name is Mindy.
And my name is Kayla. And this is the Great Story Project, where we share how life-changing adventures don't just exist in fairy tales, but in real life.
And even you can make your own life story great.
Okay, guys, today we're going to dive into a really cool topic that I've always loved, and I actually quote to my mom all the time when we're talking about things. I'll be like, but remember, it's not about the waterfall. Anybody who's listening to us is probably like, what the heck is she talking about?
Not about the waterfall. Waterfalls are cool.
So, I'm going to read a story from this book. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And so I'll just dive right in.
By the way, this book is really awesome. We talked about this, I think, a little bit last time in bibliotherapy. But Chop Wood, Carry Water is a fantastic book with lots of little stories that are easily told and shared. So you're going to love this story, and there's like 20 more just like it in this book. So enjoy.
A very long time ago, I was in love with a girl named Kimiko. One summer, I surprised her with a trip to a land she had always wanted to visit, Croatia, home of some of the world's most beautiful waterfalls. There was one waterfall in particular whose beauty captured us. We found out about it on the last day of our journey, and I was determined to see it before we left the country. Our guides at the hotel had told us that this beautiful place was 5 hours away through the winding mountain roads and over several dangerous bridges. So we awoke at dawn and began our journey. After driving trucks for a living, I was confident I could navigate the difficult roads and terrain in plenty of time to get there. According to my calculations, we would arrive at the waterfall halfway through the afternoon at the latest. I drove us through the winding mountain roads like a madman, but all my crazy driving was for nothing as we arrived at our first sign of trouble. The first bridge was no bridge at all, but a car ferry across a wide lake. And the next ferry did not leave for another hour and a half. We took some pictures by the beautiful ferry, and I tried to enjoy the view and the journey. Truthfully, though, I was not enjoying any of it because my sole focus was achieving my goal, getting to the waterfall, and I wouldn't be satisfied until I made it there. Determined to make up our lost time, we were the first people off the ferry. We stopped at the toll booth on the mountain road, where the operator informed us, despite my calculations that the waterfall was an hour away, it was more like 2 hours with the muddy road. As we drove, Kimiko asked me, "Do you want to go do something else? I just want to spend time with you. It doesn't matter what we do." I shrugged her off as if she'd suggested we ride a wooden horse instead of experience something truly spectacular. I was going to make it to the cascading waterfall. I began to snap at Kimiko, irritated at even the slightest inconvenience. I wish I could say I was enjoying the journey, but I wasn't. Instead, I was angrily focused on how quickly I could make each turn in the road instead of enjoying the beautiful vistas around us. I could not get my mind off of my goal, and with the sun passing overhead, I knew we did not have much time. We finally arrived at the trailhead to the waterfall, but as we got out of the car, we saw that even the man and woman running a roadside stand nearby were beginning to pack up for the day. I asked them frantically, "How do I get to the waterfall?" "It's too late." "How do I get to the waterfall?" "It's too late. Come back tomorrow." "We leave in the morning, and now is the only time." "How do I get to the waterfall?" The waterfall is several miles away. It is about to downpour, and the trail is not easy. It is a very bad idea. You can't make it there and back. There isn't enough light, and it is very dangerous. You will be in the middle of the forest with no one around to help you if you get in trouble. But I refused to listen to them. Instead, I pulled Kimiko with me, ignoring the ominous clouds that gathered overhead and the rapidly fading daylight. I had now traveled for over 8 hours to experience this beautiful cascading waterfall, and it was too late to turn back or admit defeat. Even Kimiko's patience began to wear thin as we trekked through the mountains. I am sure she asked if we could just stop and go somewhere else multiple times along the muddy trail, but she might as well have asked a statue. because I just kept going. As we crossed the first bridge, it started to rain. I stopped to get a photo of her running across the bridge, and then I ran on. It was muddy and hard to get good footing after the bridge, but we kept going. Occasionally, I looked back to see if I could still see her. We passed 2 other travelers on their way back down the mountain. I asked, "Is it worth it?" And they replied, "It's amazing, but you will never make it in time." I told Kimiko to walk back with them, and I pressed on. I took off running. It started to rain, but I ran harder. I came across a pond in the middle of the path, and I could barely get around it. The light was getting worse. I kept running hard, although the hills were making my legs burn. I got to the top of another one, and reality finally set in. I could make it to the cascading waterfall, but then I would have no light for a difficult, even with sunlight, trek back. I was in the middle of a foreign country. There were wild animals in this forest. Kimiko was worried sick, and I had abandoned her. It was pouring rain. I had not eaten all day. The rainstorm was killing the last of the sunlight. I was not going to reach my goal. I would not experience the cascading waterfall. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I cursed the rain and Croatia. I sacrificed so much to achieve my goal, and I was so close, but I knew I needed to turn back. I screamed and cursed it all again, and I finally turned around. This is where I learned the truth about partially controllable goals. They are very alluring, but very dangerous. Things like winning, rebounding, sales, or beating your opponent's records can distract us from what is more important, the person we become on the journey. That day, my focus was on the partially controllable goal, and I spoiled the journey, my character, my health, and my relationship in the process. I compromised the things that are not only important to me, but the things I spend my life trying to teach others to do as well. Cascading waterfalls in life are alluring, and I hope you get to experience some of them. But if we focus on them instead of true mental toughness, we so often end up compromising all the things that truly matter.
Oh, see, right? It's good. Okay, such a cool story. And yes, that is why we say it's not about the waterfall. So we wanted to bring this story up in a podcast because it's actually a profound truth of many things, but we want to bring up 3 points today in this podcast. One is, even though it's not about the waterfall, and waterfall signifies like a goal, an accomplishment, we still should set goals. So don't throw out the goals because they're not important. That's not what this is teaching us. So we want to keep goals. So we're going to go into that. Also, number 2, it's so important to live a principle-centered life. We'll go deep into that. And then 3rd, we're working to become heaven. So those are our 3 points today. Don't ditch the goals. We still need the goals. Live a character-centered life, and let's work on becoming heaven. Okay, so Kayla is going to cover our first point. Take it away, Kayla.
Okay, so even though that is an amazing story, he's obviously not telling you to not set goals, because in this life, it is actually all about, setting those goals and working to become more than you are right now. If that goal is, I want to get better at exercising, I want to eat healthier, I want to do better in my job this year, or I want to finally go after that dream that I've had since childhood. There's lots of different goals that we can have in life, and every single one of them is so vital. It is so important to set goals and have dreams in this life. And it's important to have success be important to you. And you have to be willing to work hard to go after your dreams and after your goals. But the one thing that we have to remember is that it's good to have goals because goals are one of the only ways that we grow. But we have to realize that we don't grow by achieving those goals, but on the journey to achievement, which I think is such a cool idea. And it's really, really important to realize that, because if you don't, then you'll be stuck just like him, screaming and cursing Croatia.
Yeah.
Fate,
and life.
And this is really important to me too, because I feel like in the past, I want to be an author, like I've said so many times, and I've put so much into this, but a lot of me feels like this is my baby. Like, if I don't have success in this, what am I? What, like, and I'm like so scared because there's this huge part of me that relies on achieving that goal. And that's another thing, is that I feel like we can be afraid to go after those goals because we're afraid that we won't achieve them, that we won't be enough, that we won't be able to do it.
And we think that's going to mean something about us.
Exactly.
Right?
But what we need to learn is that it's not actually about writing that book. As much as that, it's amazing. As much as my book is amazing.
She's going to write the book.
Obviously.
But
like, I need to learn that it's okay to step back from my book and realize that the most important part is not achieving that success, but becoming the person that I want to be and growing through the journey.
Right, which actually is perfect because that leads us totally into this next point of having this character-centered life. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we talked about that last time, being amazing. So in this book, he talks about how, hopefully you can see this, I'm showing you a picture of a circle, and inside the middle circle is principles, and then all around it is all the other things in life. Family, money, work, possessions, pleasures, friends, enemies, church, self, spouse. But in the middle are the principles. And I have this great desire. Like if someone were to come up and ask me, like, what do you stand for in this life? You know what I'd tell them? I would tell them that we all have incredible capacity. Like I believe that you have incredible capacity. But in order to reach it, you've got to be working on your character. You've got to be developing who you are. So when Kayla was talking about that these goals are important to set, but it's not necessarily about writing the book. It's about becoming on the way. But then we got to check, what are we becoming? How do we know what to focus on as we're becoming? And that's where this idea of like, we've got to have core principles that we want to be. We want to be kind. We want to be courageous. We want to be bold, to take action. So as we're going to use Kayla's example of writing a book because it's like super real for her and us right now, because I'm just a part of her journey with her, is, you know, she can say, I am working to have courage. And it takes courage to write those pages, to write those words every day, or consistency, or discipline. And those are the character traits that we want to work. But guess what? They don't just appear. We don't just become an incredibly disciplined person just because we think, I will be disciplined, and therefore I am. Like we have to practice. We have to train. I might just say this quote every podcast. If I haven't said it, then here's one of my favorite quotes of all time. The men do not rise to the level of their expectations. We fall to the level of our training. And so as we're doing these big goals, because yes, we believe in creating big goals. As a life coach, I work with people to create goals. That's how we grow and achieve and become. But on the way, we're focusing like, yeah, I want to work on discipline. So let's do that. And that's going to help me achieve my goal. Does that make sense? Like, so here we are, have the goals, but then be thinking about this principle-centeredness of who you are. Because that is how you're going to not just worry about the waterfall, but you're going to think about the whole journey.
And it really frames it that like every experience is a good experience if you're willing to take a step back and find the growth and the learning in it. Yeah, and so that's why it's like writing a book, I could have chosen any other thing, and I could have chosen to fail at any other thing. And whatever it is, it's not about, in the end, whether you achieve it or not, whether you fail or not, because every experience is a good experience as long as you're willing to learn from it, as long as you're willing to embrace that the journey is more important than the destination.
And that takes a paradigm shift, right? It takes actually just like twisting it just a little bit or a lot of bit, depending on where you're looking at life right now, to know, okay, I can pull away from like that camp has to be perfectly successful. That business venture has to be launched just right. Nope, we're going to release ourselves from that kind of perfectionism or like that thing has to be accomplished. We're going to just become through it. Which then actually leads us to our last point, and our final point for today is we are God-fearing people. We love our Savior. We love
God-loving people.
Yes, God-loving and God-fearing. And we love this concept of becoming heaven. So here on this earth, we're building our character. And I keep going like this because that's the circle of principle-centered life, where we're building our life on principles and our character. And the goal is to practice these things so that we can be fit for heaven. So when we're up in heaven, accomplishing amazing things, we will have practiced it. We will want to be in heaven. We will want to be with our Heavenly Father because we will have worked on becoming heavenly here. And I love that principle. It actually helps me remember, like, oh, it's okay that happened. I'm just practicing heaven. I'm going to practice having that charity. I'm going to practice having that patience. All of that's character-centered, principle-centered life. And why do I want to do that? Because we're practicing becoming heaven.
Because in the end, what are the things that you can take with you? It's not the books that you write or the money that you make.
That's right.
It's the person that you become.
Yeah. And we love that. So we strive to live this way in our life, and we could sit here for a long time and tell you stories about things that have happened to us, disappointments that we've experienced, and how we have to really like dig deep and be okay and say, okay, we're living and learning together. I had a dear friend share that phrase with me, and I love it. We're living and we're learning, and we're becoming. Cool. Okay, so just to recap, what's our first point, Kayla?
Still set goals.
Still set goals. We want to become.
Be ambitious.
Yes, that's where the growth happens, is in the goals. And then on the way, work on that character. Work on that development of principles, and you hold on to them. Those become your lifeline. Those become what you're committed to, and you will. And my goal, one of my personal goals, is to never stray from my principles because they become that lighthouse in the dark. And then the third one is we're working to become heaven because that's where we want to be. And that guides us in our decisions.
Mm-hmm. All right. So now we're going to say our quotes.
Yes. All right. Mine is from this incredible book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay, this is my quote. Remember that your paradigm, talked about that word, is the source from which your attitudes and behaviors flow. A paradigm is like a pair of glasses. It affects the way you see everything in your life. If you look at things through the paradigm of correct principles, what you see in life is dramatically different from what you see through any other centered paradigm. So I love that. He's talking about if you look through your paradigm of money, then everything you focus and you see will be surrounding money. If you look at it on the accomplishments of work, kind of like this guy with the waterfall, he's looking at just that thing, then all you will see is that, and your focus will be only that. And so he's like, nope, but if you see it through correct principles, then that's what's going to give you a beautiful life.
Yeah, and you'll be able to enjoy the journey. And that's what I love about that, is that, like he talks about, there were beautiful vistas all around them. And he had the girl that he was in love with right beside him that he could have just, had fun with wherever he went. But no, he had to be focusing on the waterfall. And we do that so much. We focus on these things that don't really matter.
Yeah.
But I think a wonderful motto in my life that I really love to adopt is, number 1, stay in the moment, and number 2, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, I was just thinking when you were saying that, is he left the woman that he loved. Like, he's like, see ya, I'm off. And I think that's profound too, that often when we're chasing other things, we can leave the people behind that we actually wanted to do the journey with anyway.
Mm-hmm. We leave the things we value the most behind when we get consumed by things that in the end don't really matter.
Yeah, so that's why we say don't focus on the waterfall. Get it? Right? Now
not
you're
about
in
the
the know.
waterfall.
It's not about the waterfall. So now when we can tell you that phrase and you'll be like,
Exactly. Okay, and then my quote is from a series called The Stormlit Archive by Brandon Sanderson. And these amazing people who are kind of the leaders of their society have to take on these oaths. And the 3 oaths are life before death, strength before weakness, and journey before destination. And I didn't always understand that. I was like, what does he mean by like journey before destination? And then my brother explained it to me, and I realized that it really is about the journey and not about the destination. And that's where I got this quote from, and I say it all the time, and I love it. So
there we go.
yep, that's our quotes. So remember, it's not about the waterfall. And remember that every moment is an adventure, and you are writing your own story.
So make it a page turner. Bye, guys.